Season 2 of Arcane is just going to be released, and I decided to hype myself a little bit up to join the October challenge. So I grabbed my sketchboard and iPad and started to draw my 4 favorite characters of the show: Caityln, Vi, Jinx and Sevika. And I also did some scene setup for the thumbnail in Blender, but we will come later to that. We start with Caityln here. I really like this pose with the rifle at the ready, because the barrel is closer to the viewer in perspective, so the gun looks much more threatening. I think this scene also underlines her character, her determination and her will to fight for justice. While I had really fun with the line art, I always struggle with coloring and shading. I don't know yet how to do it right, I think. So if you compare it with the just line art version, I'm kind of bit more fan of the uncolored version. But yeah, let's move on to Vi. What could be more fitting as the scene where she is in prison, because Vi is basically trapped over the whole story between her feelings to Caityln and her sister Jinx. This makes her feel torn and she goes crazy about it, as we already assume through seeing the trailer of season 2. Yeah, so here goes coloring, and there is the final result and the comparison to the just line art version. I doodled this picture before the challenge and then thought I would take part in the challenge. Jinx is the product of her environment, and as a very sensitive and delicate character, has been greatly changed and suffered by it. She's the most complex and therefore the most fascinating. The chosen scene is also very symbolic in many ways. Oh man, mein Englisch wird immer schlimmer. In the following, Vi is shown together with Jinx, and I think the lighter stands for sibling love that connects them, or the little innocent light in Jinx that is still there after all this. I think Vi holds on to that light and will try to save Jinx despite everything, even if it could mean the death of Vi. Colored version versus just the line art. Let's move on to Sevika. I like her simply because she's tough as nails, a fighter, and although she weighs things up from time to time, she's still very loyal. She's actually a born soldier, and I'm a huge fan of her. The fights between her and Vi were the absolute highlights for me. I think this rivalry will and has to continue for the sake of the audience. Let's now have a look at the finished version and just the line art. In the end, I thought it could be cool to do a mural of all of them, and I opened Blender and thought it could be like a big painting on a street wall. So I downloaded Buildify, a free add-on for Blender, which helps to generate buildings from geometry nodes. And there's another cool free add-on, which is called Blossom, where you can go to the world map, select a section, and then it creates the base geometry of the buildings and streets that you've selected. And if you combine it with Buildify, the cool thing is then you have like a really fast setup for a street scene. Yeah, I made the decision to only go for Jinx and Vi. I think that's the core. I put them into the scene, experimented a lot with sunlight, and later on I found an old model of Jinx I modeled like 2 years ago. I think the face turned out not the best, but yeah, that was one of my first sculpts back then. And I did all the textures on my own, which I'm really proud of, I think. And yeah, I thought it was a cool idea to put Jinx into the scene, and the idea was to render her like rather over the shoulder perspective, or to put her on the side a little bit. And yeah, we ended up rendering 3 versions. Version 1, version 2, and version 3. I thought version 2 was kind of the best because it's more from her perspective. I like the like low angle puts a little bit drama on this. And yeah, this is a thumbnail I go for. I'm happy I put the work into that. Of course, I'm not a pro, but I really had fun with this project and I hope you liked it too. Leave a like and a subscribe if you feel comfortable with that. And see you soon. Bye bye.